What's up everybody, my name is Stratton, and in this video I want to do a quick comparison between the MPC Live standalone unit and the MPC Touch software controller. Let's go ahead and get right into the video. Alright, right here, check this out. So on the left I have the MPC Live, on the right I have the MPC Touch, and I have my tablet here. So this is a Windows tablet and it has the MPC software on it. Alright, so that's going to go ahead and bring me to my first point, which is the MPC Live is completely standalone. You do not need any external computer to use it. The MPC Touch is a software controller, which obviously you need the MPC software, but the MPC software needs to be on a computer so that this device will even work. That's the first point. Standalone controller. And I will note that the MPC Live can go into controller mode. And so when the MPC Live is in controller mode, it basically operates the same as the MPC Touch. Okay, so there's minor differences between the inputs and outputs that you're able to select in the software. But if you're just concerned with the top panel and how the top panel functions, it's going to function exactly the same. So yeah, that brings me to the second point. I guess the first point is kind of standalone controller. MPC Live, standalone, MPC Touch controller. Second point is the inputs and outputs are different. Okay, so the MPC Live, actually unplug this for a second. So I want to go over kind of the hardware differences between the two of them. The MPC Touch is about half the height as the MPC Live. All right, that's because this thing doesn't have all the components that this thing has to be able to run standalone. If you look here, the MPC Touch does have an interface for audio. So if you look, these are inputs. You have a right and left input, and you have a right and left output, and you have a headphone jack. All right, and then you have your master volume right here, and then you have your record volume over this way. Okay, so you do have an audio interface with this, but again, this is a controller, so you're going to go out with the USB right here. This is going to go to your computer. All right, so that's how you're going to be able to use this interface with your computer. Okay, over here is your power cable. All right, but that's going to go to your computer, so you can use this interface, and you can also use the controller through that. And right here you have your MIDI. So you do need an adapter. Let me show you. So the MPC Touch does have MIDI in and MIDI out. So you can use this particular adapter right here. This comes with it. You connect it here, and then you plug your MIDI cable right here. And it's basically, this part is the same as the MIDI right here on the MPC Live. You get 2 MIDI ins and 2 MIDI outs on the MPC Live, whereas you get 1 MIDI out and 1 MIDI in on the MPC Touch, okay? And you have to use this adapter. Other than that, that's basically the Touch, okay? And I went over all of this on the a different video where I kind of went into in detail. Maybe I'll link it in the card. Basically, you get way more outputs. You get 6 outputs on the Live. You get 2 inputs here for line, and then you also get this right here, which is for your turntables, and then you adjust the volume of the input right here. The Touch has inputs, right? But you're not going to be able to use your turntable, your RCAs, or whatever to go into your Touch. You might have to use something like this. I haven't tried it yet, but it should work. If you use this adapter, you go right into here and this one here, and then you should be able to go to your inputs if you want to do some sampling from your vinyl. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it would work. But you also get this other stuff, like you get an SD card spot right here on the Live. You get 2 USB, inputs here, so you can plug in MIDI controllers. And this right here is actually I know my lighting's off. This right here is actually where you put your USB cable. So if you did want to go into controller mode, you could do that. And these are 3.0 USB, and this is like 2 point whatever USB. So that's the differences on the back here. And I will say the interface for the Touch, I think the resolution or whatever is 44.1 kilohertz, whereas on the Live you can go up to 96K. This can be used in controller mode like that. And all of these inputs and outputs could be used in standalone or controller mode. Just want to put that out there. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the touch back. Okay. So I will say that you do absolutely have to have the USB cable and the power cable if you want to use the screen on here. All right, so I can turn it on. I could turn it on and you can see I'm getting power, and I can actually push play and it works in the software. But if I want to use the MPC Touch screen, I have to use the power adapter. All right, so I'll go ahead and put the power adapter back in, and that's going to bring the screen back up. And there's a screen. Now you can see the MPC Touch could actually be used as a secondary monitor as well. And you can see this is my screen of my computer is actually here. It's not touchscreen in this capacity, but now I'm all out of sync. So let me go ahead and close the software and open it back up. All right, so we're back online here. So, all right, so when you're in the software mode, you do have the option to pick different things, and the sample rate can only be 44.1 kilohertz. You can pick your buffer rate. It's holding steady at 256. I tested 128 and then loaded a few things up and it worked well at that. And the thing is about your buffer size, that's going to basically control how much latency you have. Now the MPC software does have audio latency adjustment. That works pretty well, but you're still gonna have latency when you're playing your MIDI notes. And the thing about the MPC Live is that latency is like next to none. Like once you hit your pad, you're hearing your sound. The MPC Touch does have a little bit of latency, okay? So that's dependent on your buffer size. So you wanna pick a small buffer size to minimize the latency when you play the pads. It's really responsive. You can't really, like when you're playing it, there's not a lot of latency, okay? It's not like unusable. It's definitely usable, but that's gonna be dependent on your computer. Whereas the MPC Live is not dependent on your computer. So this is the big difference between standalone and software, because your computer here is going to determine a lot of how your controller works. Whereas the MPC Live, you got that thing going, like I'm not worried about latency on this thing. All right, so yeah, what am I trying to say? MPC Live standalone, don't worry about latency, you're good. MPC Touch, the latency is dependent on your computer and the settings you have in your computer. So the lower buffer size that you have, the least amount of latency that you get, okay? Now, what are some of the other differences? So if you look, everything looks the same, like I was saying, but you can see that the screens are actually different, whereas this is recessed like 2 millimeters. This is flush, like I was saying. And the color looks slightly different as well. Now they're both responsive. Like there's really no issue if you're trying to do something on here. So if you wanted to go here and zoom in, it's really responsive. I mean, there's no issue with it. If I wanted to go here and zoom in, it's responsive as well. If you're worried about the screen being bad on the Touch, it's not bad. The only issue with the Touch is, like I was saying, is recessed. So you have to kind of learn how it works. And if you look at the angle, it does change the tint of what it looks like depending on if you like. All right, so the MPC Live, whenever I put my head to the angle and look at it, the screen is just straight, perfect looking. Like there's no issue if you put your head to the side on the Live, but on the Touch, if you put your head to the side, you can kind of see a difference in what the screen looks like as far as the colors and everything. Like I was saying, this is kind of going to be a rambling video, but I wanted to put it out there because nobody has done this. Next point, MPC Live has audio tracks. MPC software has audio tracks. MPC Live has access to 8 audio tracks. If you tap right there, this takes you over to the audio track side of things. The same thing over here, audio track side of things. If you're doing the MPC Live, you only have 8 audio tracks. In the MPC software, you have 128 audio tracks. All right, so let's talk about the main screen again. Everything in the main screen is the same. If you go to menu, all the menus are the same here as well. I'm going to kind of wrap everything up here. I know there are other differences, but I kind of just wanted to give you the main differences between these two devices. The MPC Touch, I actually bought used for like $333. I'm seeing used right now for as low as $250. I've actually seen these things on sale for $400. Okay, so this is another difference between these two units. The MPC Touch, I'm seeing it right now for $400. The MPC Live, I'm seeing it for 1,200 US American dollars. All right, so that's a huge difference. If you want to get into the MPC Touch is a great option. You don't even really need to look at the computer monitor for things. You can do everything on the unit here. So you can load everything up. You could turn off this screen or what have you. You can do everything here. And this is how I like to use. I don't really prefer the software. I know some people might, because there are certain advantages to the software, but I like the standalone unit. So if I only had $400 and I already had a computer with adequate memory and, you know, a good processor or whatever, I would just buy the MPC Touch. If I only had, you know, $400, I would buy the MPC Touch, use the software, and everything here is the same. Like I said, the only difference is the touchscreen's a little bit different. Your inputs and outputs are different, so you're gonna have access to different MIDI inputs and outputs. But as far as the functionality of the pads, as far as the functionality of how the actual 7-inch screen works, you have everything exactly identical. You got your sampler here. You could sample on either one of them. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So yeah, if you wanted to get into the MPC and you didn't have enough money to get the standalone, now you could find these used for around $800, okay, 800 US dollars. This one you can get $400 new right now. Now the normal price is 600 US American dollars, but I definitely am seeing these for $400, so that's kind of also why I'm trying to get this video out to you now. One thing I didn't mention is that the Touch does have this removable stand on here. So you can remove this and put it flat. I prefer to have this on though. So there you have it. That's kind of my quick and dirty comparison of the MPC Live and the MPC Touch. This is my first comparison video, and I just wanted to get this information out there. This thing's going for really inexpensive right now. I personally do not prefer the MPC Touch to the Live. There's something about the Live where the no latency, just having everything standalone right there, no looking at another screen, everything's right there. There's something about it I like. Whereas in the Touch, the power is dependent on your computer. So I mean, if you have a really powerful computer, it might be okay, but there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect right here to there whenever you're using controller. But like I said, if you could turn the screen off here and just boom, bang out beats and not even worry about it. But it's just like a mental thing. Okay, so people like standalone for whatever reason. Some people might prefer the controller for whatever reason. The functionality as far as being able to program beats, being able to sequence, being able to sample, the functionality is identical in the MPC Touch and the MPC Live. There's certain things that you might prefer, like when you're banging the pads, okay, you can feel how lightweight this is. And there's just a feeling to it. And when you're banging the pads on the Live, you can feel how solid it is. There's a difference. There's definitely a difference. Okay, when you're using this machine and moving all the knobs, you can feel like when you push it in, you can feel how solid this thing is. Where on here, you can kind of feel it's a little bit lightweight. All right, so that's kind of where there is a difference. But as far as being able to sequence, program, sample, all of that is identical on both of these. You can go to your main, hit record, and play and bang out beats and be able to record those beats on either one. If you want to get into MPC, maybe you want to consider getting the Touch. Super cheap. Now, I will say, if you're getting the Touch used, make sure that you're getting the software with it. Make sure that whoever you're buying it from it's transferring the software over to you, because you do need the software for it to work, okay? And if you're getting the live used, same thing. I would just make sure you can get the software, maybe contact Akai and make sure that you're able to do that, you know, register the device so you can get the software. Very important, very, very important. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to cover for this video. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and start banging out some beats, okay? And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, y'all.